All right, y'all, let me get my mic in place. Welcome back to Success on the Spectrum podcast, the Chey and Lyndsay show today. We are going to be talking about how each of us plan and map out our futures, how to identify when we're falling behind, how to stop the spiral, asking for help, a bunch of good stuff. We're going to just open end it. We've already been talking for almost 2 hours before we hit record, so I think we're nice and warmed up now. And it doesn't need a good yap. All right.
It
So
was a great yap. I will say that.
yeah. Planning and mapping the future. I've got mine down to like a kind of a science, not I want to say science, but I have a project blueprint for how I do mine. I do the good old vision board. I just make sure that my vision board like hits all the what do we call it? The buckets of the life. Hits
Yes.
all my quadrants. Um, and then I put it literally like I can see mine from where I'm sitting, and it's like mine is like 24 inches by 30, so like it's a big framed board, and then I also have it right here on my phone, so I'm looking at it all the time.
Oh, I love that
It's
it's
like,
framed.
oh yeah, and it's easier to see it here, but there's a light over it,
Yeah,
and
that
it
looks
kind of,
really nice.
yeah. And it covers a lot of different things. It's not your normal vision board. I don't have a car I want on there, or like, you know what I mean? There's nothing name brand on that. I've got like eating for my DNA type. I'm doing that this year, you know? Um, riding my first ski lift. And this is the third year that I've done a vision board. Each year I have completed at least 85%.
Wow.
This year we are officially halfway through the year now, and I am 94% done. 94% done with it. So this is the
Wow.
first year that I'm going to be doing a second vision board. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Good
that's
for
pretty
you.
cool. And I honestly think it's because you know how we are, object permanence. I think it's because it's every time I open my phone, I'm reminded that like these are the things that we're doing this year.
Yeah,
This is the best you right here in this picture. Um, but yeah, it's definitely worked. I've done a lot this year so far
that's
already.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
I am impressed. And I'm wondering too, since you have ADHD, no, yeah,
Yes.
ADHD,
Yep.
if it's more the autism that keeps you focused on that. Because so I will just mention there are three types of ADHD. So it's all under one umbrella, but you can go into separate categories. So one is just inattentive. So you can't really pay attention, retain information, but you're not that hyper. And then, of course, there's the hyperactive impulsive, where maybe you can sit and pay attention. Maybe you can retain. Maybe you're really good at school, but my Lord, you can't sit still. And then, of course, there's the combined. So I am the combined. I am 100% of both. Like my fiance is always like, oh, there she goes. I'm like bopping around the house. I get my bursts of energy, and I can't sit still, and I can't really pay attention to things. So, um, I have tried vision boards. I have tried quotes on the back of my phone. I have tried sticky notes. I have tried daily reminders, and they become just a thing on my wall that I walk past every day. I like get so used to it that I don't even look at it anymore. And the sticky notes on my mirror, I'm like, "Hey, can you move? I'm trying to brush my teeth." And like my phone screen, I'm like, I don't even look at it because there's all these notifications. And then the reminders will just like annoy me. So then I'll turn them off and then I forget all about it. What were you going to say?
When was the last time you reverse engineered a goal?
Well, that's what I was going to say, actually, is that the thing that works for me is being like, okay, I'm here and I want this, and then I break it into small, tiny little chunks. So my main goal, if I look at things that are way over here, it's way too overwhelming, and I'm
It
like,
doesn't even seem like it's on the same planet.
not even. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, but if I can get here for sure. And then once I get here, oh, I can get here for sure. So I have to break this shit down into teeny little um action items that are short term. Like we're talking 1 or 2 or 3 months to get there, not a year down the road. If something is a year down the road, I'm not going to complete it. I'm going to forget that I even set the goal. It's not going to happen. So that's
Mhm.
what works for me when I'm planning out my life is I have to set goals and then I have to break those goals down to the ridiculous. Like,
Mhm.
so if I don't want to lose weight. I'm just using this as an example, but if I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 8 months, okay, great.
Mhm.
I'm going to start by buying a gym membership. That is goal number one.
Yep.
And then the next goal is, go 3 times a week for 4 weeks in a row. Okay, we did that. Now you know what I mean? So, and those little things will get me to like where I want to go. But if I just look at the massive far away goal, it is when things get messy, and we'll cover this a little bit later too, in my life, for some funny reason, the image that pops into my head when I'm overwhelmed is a really, really full, overwhelming, like overspilling, I mean, laundry basket of clothes. And when I look at that laundry basket in my head, I'm like, ah, it's so much. But if I just pick up one shirt, and then I pick up another shirt, and then all of a
Yep.
sudden, all my clothes are put away. So I have to piece things into tiny, tiny little sections. Otherwise, I get really overwhelmed.
Yeah. I feel that entirely. Two of the things that I did that probably have helped break up some of that of the monotony too, because we get bored when we're focused on the same goal for a long time, right? Um, I have dropped dopamine hits in my goal board. So like there's a lot of things on there that I'm going to have to work on and work towards and all of that. But there's little like almost like Easter eggs of like just little tiny things that I can do for fun, like writing my first ski lift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's on my goal board for this year. It's just like a silly little thing that I can like take a moment to do, you know? But the big thing for me, and maybe this would work for you, have you ever done a millionaire's day? Have you ever heard of
Is
that?
that kind of like touching the dream?
I don't know.
Let's see.
We're gonna find out if it's the same. So a millionaire's day for me, I try to do this quarterly, but it usually ends up I can only fit it into the schedule twice a year. I create a list of all of the things that I need to do, things that I need to do to get to my goals, things that I need to do to keep my life on track, you know, car registration,
Mm.
a random dermatology appointment, all of these things. Like if I have it on here that I want to learn to golf this year, I probably need to put it on my task list to make an appointment to get a golf lesson or schedule time with friends to go to putt putt, whatever. Whatever that may be. So I will list those things out and create the most insane task list you've ever seen, like to the point where it's overwhelming and you're like, "Ugh," right? But then I schedule a millionaire's day. And so that is a 24-hour period where I shut down every other aspect of my life. I get myself into a comfortable, focused state. I bring in good snacks. I got my caffeine. I'm jamming to music. And I make some kind of progress on every single thing on that list over the span of 24 hours, whether that's researching dermatologists, right? And like picking one to reach out to. Cool. I've made a step forward. For me, once I've started something, it's a lot easier for me to keep the momentum going. It's the beginning of stuff for me that yeah, like the things that are on my goal board, the couple things that I haven't reached, it's because I did not start doing them at the beginning of the year when I started everything else. So for me, I use those 2 things together to, like, make sure I'm making progress, but also not consistently burning myself out and stressing about all the stuff that I need to get done to make my goals and dreams and visions and because that can get overwhelming too when you think about, like, I need to be making moves towards each one of these things every single day.
Ugh, it's not gonna work.
Exhausting. Right.
Yeah, there's no way. You're gonna
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kinda like those people who do, like, the crash diets where they go from living, like, a really shitty lifestyle, and then they're like, "I'm cutting carbs and sugar today in all of it," and then they're like, "I hate this," and they binge eat, you know? We do the same thing with our goals where it's like, "I'm gonna do all these things," and you start them all, and you're like, "Never mind, that was too much." So, being methodical about how you do it. Yeah, I have never heard of the term Millionaire's Day, but I do that unintentionally. So I will wake up and I can't be like on Wednesday, I can't be like, okay, so on Saturday, I'm gonna do the laundry, wash the cars, pay my taxes. Da, 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 da." I can't do it. Because if I wake up on Saturday and I don't want to, I'm not gonna, and then I'm gonna feel disappointed in myself. So honestly, I let my body do the talking. If I wake up and I'm like, oh, we're focused today. We
Gonna be a
got
good
that.
day.
We got that motivation today. And then I'll take my
Mhm.
medication and that is what I'm doing. I let my body come to me and say that today is the day that we're getting all of this stuff jump started. And I do have those days where it's like, okay, let's get it done. And on the days like I will love like meticulous tasks when I have a burst like that. I'm like, heck yeah, I'll register my car. Clicking on my laptop sounds so fun, like but then there are other days where I'm like, I physically, you could not make me do that right now, you know?
Do you ever get I sometimes will get on because I get a lot of the energy waning like you do, where I've got the good days where I wake up and I know I'm like, cool, I'm pulling out my extra task list today. We are knocking shit out. And I have the down days where I'm like, I don't want to do any of this. Do you ever find that your neural network does not connect the same way? I do a lot of like digital stuff, connecting things, having to remember how to get into things, where things are at, all of that. I find on my down energy days, I have a hard time remembering pathways and like how to do it's almost like an in the day regression
Yes.
nearly. Like,
Yes.
dude, what is that?
1000%. So I'm in sales for the listeners. And the way that I can say my pitch and handle objections in my sleep, when I have those days, I'm like, yeah, and I will stumble all over myself. I can't get through it. I don't know how to handle. And I'm like, okay, that, today's just not the day. And it's like I literally can't think. And I also, a weird thing that happens too on days like that is when it's a computer day, I'm on my laptop, the, the words are not clear on my laptop anymore. It gets like blurry. Yeah. And I can't read
How
anymore.
often I'm like, is my eyesight getting worse? What is happening here?
I have incredible eyesight. I have never had a vision issue ever. When y'all see me on YouTube wearing those glasses, they're fake.
They're cute though.
They are cute though. But yes,
Mhm.
I literally I'll get like tunnel vision, and my brain's like, "Hey, not today, sis," and I'm like, "Okay." And
It's like
trying to
your
push
eyes
through
aren't
it,
even gonna get the energy to focus at this point.
yeah, and
Go
trying to
lay
get
down.
through it it's it's just kind of a crapshoot day. I kind of wash it up. So, um, but yeah, so when it comes to planning your future, I think there's a huge difference between am engaged to and live with a type A logical black and white, thankfully also very emotionally intelligent, uh, neurotypical man, and it's fascinating to me to watch, and I am fascinating for him to watch. We're both like, wow, that wasn't cool or whatever. When moved, we just moved into a house
Mhm.
and he was like, we need to switch the utilities. and immediately just like got on his phone and switched the utilities. And then he was like, "Oh, we need to switch the addresses on our driver's license." And I was like, "Okay." Like I was like, "I'm not doing that right now." And he just got it done. And I was like, "What?" So he can just do things on command that need to be done. I have to compile the things that need to be done, make a list, and eventually like I'll check them off. But when it comes to his plan for our future, it is, first of all, it lives in his head and he can remember all of it, which freaking blows my mind. I'm like, "What? We're not gonna like write this down or something?"
Yeah.
And yeah, and so he's like, "Okay, so when I'm this age, this is how much money I'm gonna have, and this is probably where we're gonna live, and this is how many, and this is what it's gonna take to get there." And every day he just does the things naturally to get us to the end goal. And I'm like, wow, it seems so effortless. What a world that must be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I think uh, I thank God every day that, He is the glue that holds this together because I'm all over the place. But um, so to the neurodivergent people out there listening, if first of all, I want to say that comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is a thief of joy. So if you surround yourself with a lot of neurotypical people, which the odds are you're probably gonna, your brain doesn't work the same. So if you are really struggling to get a routine started or to plan the future or to stick to the things that you know you need to do to get to your future, just know it is astronomically harder for us to do these things. So we have what is called time blindness, and it is the inability to feel the future as something that is real. So the future can either feel something that's way too far away to even care about right now. We're living
Mhm.
in the moment, or it can be uncomfortably close. So we feel that pressure and we shut down.
Mm.
And so planning can often feel, you know, like guessing or just wishful thinking. So we
Mhm.
have to learn how to set clear goals and how to execute them in a way that works for us independently. Because
Yep.
yes, we have ADHD or we have autism or we have OCD or we have whatever else on this in the neurodivergent spectrum, and that is not blanketed. The way that I handle my ADHD is going to be very different than how this person handles theirs.
Yep.
So to really get in tune with yourself, which we are very good at, and be like, okay, and try things. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Vision boards don't work for me. I end up walking past
Yeah.
them like they're just a piece of art on the wall. I just literally don't even acknowledge their existence after a month. So that didn't work for me. So I figured out a system that works for me, um, because we have so many extra thoughts going on at constant, um, that like my fiance can have his whole future in his head and it just lives in its calm little quiet compartment. We don't have that. So we have to have our own systems.
Mhm.
So
Yep. Yeah. And I'm still learning what works for me. I feel
me
like I've
too.
almost like it's like a consistent, it's a fun science experiment though.
Yeah, goal setting really it works very well for me, but I have to be engulfed in it. Like when I was in the door-to-door industry, I was the door-to-door industry. I did nothing else. So I was constantly engulfed in my goals, constantly. They were always right there. And I was like, I mean, all right, let's go. And since I have left the industry and I just kind of like work from home by myself, I have lost a lot of intention and goal setting, but it's been on my mind and I know that I need to get back to it. But yeah, setting goals for us is hard and achieving goals for us is hard. And I'm not saying that to be like, don't live with intention, don't set goals, don't achieve things, and don't think that you can't do that. All of that is false. You just need a system that works for you. So,
And
and
also to be aware of when potentially your goals just might be changing.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. And that is so okay, you
Yeah.
know? So, um, what was I going to say? Oh, another thing that we were going to talk about today, which I think this kind of segues into that, is how to identify that you're falling behind so that you can avoid a spiral. So, like, what do you think about that? Because I think planning for the future, we're talking about the future, we have no idea the speed bumps that are going to come along the way. And I think a lot of people are like, I want to, I don't know, build a business this year. And they see the end and they're like, oh, yeah, that's going to be nice. What we forget to account for is all the unknowns that's going to happen in between. That can cause us to fall behind or feel like we want to give up or, spiral into a crisis or whatever. So, how do we identify and avoid those things?
I think the first thing that most people should do is give themselves a little grace. That's one of the things about being neurodivergent and having such different neural networks from, ND to ND, is that when we think about goals and we look at timelines, whose timeline is that you're expecting yourself to live up to? So I think we have to have grace. I know that there are things that are gonna take me longer to accomplish than a neurotypical person would. I know there are. Um, and so I think, but I also know that there's things I could do a lot. Like I could build you out an e-commerce brand in 2 days and have you live. Like, no problem. But restructuring my household's like food system as far as like dinners and like other blah, you know what I mean? So I think knowing yourself and being aware of the fact that the stereotypical timelines are not going to work for all of us. I think I think when you look at those two things, as you see yourself shifting or you see potentially some of like the foundations of your goals changing, mid-year or what have you, or mid-timeline, I think you have to really settle into the fact that our brains are very flexible. Like we change our wants, our needs change. Those things are like I think that we will find more success when we consider things to be more fluid for us than they are for the neurotypical realm.
Could not agree more because I
Yeah.
think like a lot of this comes back to the natural um, byproduct of having neurodivergence, and that's that low self esteem. And
Mhm.
so if we don't hit that goal on time, we're really hard on ourselves. Or
On time for who?
what'd you say?
On
Oh,
time
on
for
time for
who?
who? Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And honestly, let's be really honest with ourselves. When we are setting goals, whether you're learning how to or it's a really big one or whatever, I think I do this for sure, where I'm like, that looks good. Yeah, I could probably do that in 6 months. And I don't put that much thought into it. And then the reality of of me starting, and I'm like, okay, I should have probably maybe given myself about 8 months. So I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna go back to the drawing board, I'm gonna extend this a little bit and being
Mhm.
okay with making adjustments.
Yeah,
Totally.
don't be hard on yourself. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing is we are all so like nobody is a bigger critic of a neurodivergent than the neurodivergent themselves, I believe. And maybe that's for all humans, but I feel like I am downright cruel to myself sometimes with how I set expectations, knowing what my life actually is. And I will have to remind myself like, girl, whose life are you trying to live right now? Like take a breath. You're doing fine. Like you are juggling a lot of stuff and, nobody's
Yeah.
perfect, but we do strive to be.
Oh
We do,
yeah.
we strive to be the neurotypical outline of what, this is what we believe the acting like a human doing this thing is supposed to look like, you know?
Totally. Oh my gosh. Whoa. You just gave me a really, I have never thought about this. We might just be so much harder on ourselves because we are trying to cosplay as a neurotypical person in society. Holy, that
Social blueprints that our brains are not built for.
that just blew my mind. That makes a lot of sense. Wow, because I can't tell you how often the narrative in my mind is fit in, be popular, be liked, be funny, and God
How the
forbid,
hell how the hell do people do this?
yes.
That's my biggest one. How do people be this?
Yeah.
This is
You know,
exhausting.
those one of the like the types of girls, women that I look up to, actually, I don't know if it's looking up to, they just fascinate me. They are the cutesy, cutesy girls who are like, I love labels and containers and organization, and my whole life is a planner, and I have a side hustle and a full-time job and a mommy daycare, and they just, their shit is just together. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And I think you are so cool. I'm like, that must be so cool for them to be able to
And
do that.
I bet they still cry themselves to sleep sometimes just like we do though.
Oh, I'm sure that yes,
You know?
because I think a side effect of that is probably perfectionism,
Burnout.
which is not obtainable. But just to be able to do it and do it well is a total skill set. That I'm just gonna say this, not to like, whatever, but we just probably won't. We can't do that. And that's okay because we can do a lot of other really cool things. But um
Somebody said to me the other day, and I took not offense to it at first, but it kind of took me back a little bit where I was like, wait, what? You know what I mean? Not offense. So I was just kind of like, wait, what? Did you just say to me?
yeah.
It was it's crazy to me how easy it is for your brain to do hard things, but how hard it is for your brain to do easy things. And I'm like, yeah, I'll build you an entire integrated backend open API stack like database that's automated and ready to go, and do it all inside my brain. But God help us all if I have to pick where we're eating dinner.
Yeah. That's
Why am
actually
I
very
like this?
relatable. You know what? Building a business is very exciting and there's passion behind it and you enjoy it and you know how to do it. There's none of that involved in picking spaghetti or Mexican tonight. Like, you're like, I don't care. Just pick something and I'll be down. I I have such bad decision fatigue. And but yes, that is very true. Like we need to we just moved in and we have a box of shoes in the closet, and it's literally going to take me 20 minutes to align them in their little cubby thing, and I cannot get myself to do it. But you know if I needed to go knock doors for literally 2 weeks in a row, I'd be like, see ya. you know I'm out. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we really enlarge tasks in our heads that are not that big. It's but they seem really big.
The overthinking for me is real too, because like when it comes down to the dinner decision, by the way, it's actually what is happening in my brain is I'm running through every person that I need to feed, what their preferences are, running that against a database of the things that we've eaten recently, and running that against the database of the groceries that we have. And it's like, yeah, instead of me just going, you know, let's order in Chinese, I have had 30 minutes of internal deliberation.
It's exhausting, you know? Yeah, I
The
shut down with the with that certain topic. I'm like, I'm not doing this. You choose and I will eat it.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll go like put some peanut butter on some bread and call it a night. So
Yeah. Yeah. True.
if you want to eat, I suggest we pick some.
So for me, so when I set goals and I'm looking at the future and maybe things don't go according to plan or what have you, the way that I identify those things is I s- I start with an internal dialogue that is starts to begin to tell me that it's okay if I don't accomplish it. That is the first thing that happens. And so, like, I'll give you an example. Let's say that I'll give you a very simple example. It'll be easy to understand. If I say today, I have not ran in 2 years and I'm going to run a mile today, I have my little watch on, I'm running. The first thing that is going to give up and tell me that I can't finish that mile is my brain, not my body. My body's like, what? We're good. We're feeling good. We can run a mile. And your brain's like,
Mhm.
I'm tired. I'm breathing hard. It's hot. Don't you want to stop? You could just stop. Just at the stop sign, you could just take a break. It's fine. How about after this song, you can stop? You can totally stop. It's not that big of a deal. You
I've
ran
already done
today.
this much. It's
Yeah,
a success
exactly.
already.
Yeah, you ran today. It's fine. So the first thing that comes up to me in when I'm working on achieving a goal is that voice. And so learning how to be like, yeah, so Gretchen, I do want to this is my voice, my little shitty devil in my head. And I'm like, hey, Gretchen, I don't have time for you today. I have set a goal. And so that's what I'm going to do. And the way that I can like break this up is I will revisit the goal. I will call a friend. You have to interrupt that voice
Mhm.
somehow, some way. Get up,
Mhm.
walk around the house, like literally anything. Get up, break that. So that's when I know. But when I sit with that voice, I know I can that's how I kind of identify that I'm getting off path here. Another thing for me, unfortunately, we're vulnerable on here is like I will start partying more on the weekends and I'll
Mhm.
start going
Yep.
out more. And I'm not saying like like abusing alcohol or anything, but it'll become more frequent and I'll stay out a little later and I'll have a couple more drinks than usual. And so that's a big indicator for me that I'm falling behind. And then the Sunday I'm hungover, I have anxiety and I did not going to do the laundry, I'm not going to clean the house and the dishwasher's not getting loaded. So now on Monday, which is the days Monday through Friday that I dedicate to my goals, now Monday is spent recovering, doing the laundry, doing the dishes, doing so now I'm a whole day behind because I made that decision on Saturday because I'm not aligning with my goals. And now I'm an entire day behind and I feel like a piece of crap. So when I
And your
start
energy's off.
in my energy's off. Yep. And so when I start, these are the patterns that I see in myself where I'm like, hard stop, we ain't doing this. Because if you continue down this path, it takes me about 3 weeks of falling off on a weekend, and
Mhm.
that goal is kaput. I'm like, "You suck. You're a piece of crap." And now I'm spiraling, and
Mhm.
I hate myself for a little bit, you know? And then I can pick up the pieces and we can get started again, but it takes a lot of energy to do that, because, so avoiding that is, first of all, self-awareness, being honest with yourself. My dad is a recovered alcoholic since 1988. Go dad. And so we grew up on the 12-step plan. He was always talking about the 12 steps. Okay. And so one of the steps is taking self inventory. And so, oh my Lord, we had to do that all the time growing up. But bless up to my dad, because what a cool thing to learn how to do as a child and take it with you as an adult, because I very consistently throughout the entirety of my life, I will sit in front of the mirror and I will take self inventory. I will put
Mhm.
myself in my office and I will write down, I will take some self inventory and, to know, okay, what's going on? Why is it going on? and how do we realign here? So that's what I tend to do when I can feel myself. I'm like, okay, we're slipping here. We're being too social. We need to spend more time focusing. We have shit to do. We have goals to achieve. What's going on? And I will just sit down and talk it out with myself.
I like that. I have a little theory on Gretchen. What if Gretchen is your survivalism pitching in to conserve your energy?
So, okay, let me get raw here for a minute.
Mhm.
And maybe some people will not like this, but this is just how I feel. I, not for others, but for myself, have always had I'm telling you, these thoughts go back to middle school for me. I didn't know how to articulate it till I was about a senior in high school. I have a horrible relationship with grace. Horrible. When it comes to other people, I'm like, babe, give yourself some grace. Chill out. We're good. When it comes to me, I'm like, you don't have an excuse. Get your ass up. Rest for what? You don't deserve rest. If you give yourself grace, you're a weenie. And that is, I've been working on it for a long time, and I'm much, much better at it than I used to be. But I have a terrible relationship with giving myself grace. Bad. It's not great. And I used to journal about this in high school, like, and I'm sure I have notes in my notes app, and clearly uncomfortable talking about this. Notice my like fingers.
You
Um,
know, I would imagine that would be a common side effect of a person receiving an average of 20,000 more negative comments on their character throughout the entirety of their childhood.
yeah, yeah,
It
true.
creates a very strong internal negative narrative.
Yeah.
See that for sure.
And a cherry on top is that I have, which I've talked about before, but I have a very responsible, badass, neurotypical twin sister. Where it was always like, why can't you just be like her? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm 6. So, it was, but yeah, you're right. Gretchen and Grace might just be the same person.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, I often get too when I like, because I'll get off track on the gym sometimes, like I am right now. And when I
Mhm.
go back to start at the gym, I'll get that same voice. And I have to tell myself, like, this is my body telling me that this is just, it's going to make me more tired or it's going to run me more down. And I have to kind of rewire that for myself and like, no, these are the habits that will get me back on track. And like, I argue with that same level of voice often. Um, that bitch.
I think, yeah, for real. But what I think is the thing that has worked for me, I learned this in therapy a long time ago, and I think this is very common. I'm talking about that pattern interrupt because the longer I think about, I think running is a really good example because your demons come out when you're running. It's like at the stop sign after the song. Like seriously, everyone goes through that. But your body can go a lot further. So when you're walking into, so when I do go to run, it's rare, but I do it, okay? And I'll get that voice. What I'll do is I will start singing out loud. I could give a crap less if someone can hear me. I will start singing the song on my AirPods out loud because then I don't my brain can't continue to think those thoughts because I'm singing. So,
Yeah.
and whenever I walking into the gym, I do this a lot just naturally, and John will notice too. Like if I am really anxious or I have like those thoughts that make you cringe,
Oh yeah.
I will randomly be like, "Huh, yeah, gosh, books. I have books in here, and that plant is green." And John will be like, "What?" And I'm like, "I got to get rid of the thoughts in my head. Sorry." Like, and I just blurt things out. I do it all the time if I'm anxious. But it's also a great way to, when you're sitting in your car in the gym or outside of the gym parking lot and you're like, I don't want to do this today. Count to three, 1, 2, 3. And on three, your ass is out of the car. 1, 2, 3, you're opening the door, get up. And then you're gonna talk, think, n- pay attention to the things around you. In that voice, it loses its power. And then you go work out and you feel great about it.
We that puts I'm gonna write this down actually because it puts a note in my brain. Action systems is something we should talk about at some point. You know exactly what I mean. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. The things to get you going, because
Yeah.
oh, we I'm sure have a few to share.
Yep.
I love that. Um, so I struggle with asking for help. That's a big one for me. When I get off track and I feel like I need to shut down, or I have shut down, or I'm not filling the buckets, all the things. It can be really hard for me to get back on track alone. I sometimes will need like an accountability partner almost, and or somebody to just like keep a couple plates spinning while I get back up off the floor, and then like I can take them back over. That's a big one for me. I'm like, if I can just offlet a little bit of responsibility for a second, take a breath, I'll be fine. Um, but I struggle to like ask for that. You know what I mean?
I
Um,
do.
so man, it's something that I'm actively trying to like rewire for myself.
And I'm wondering
Um,
if it's because we've always, whether it was pre-diagnosis, post-diagnosis, known that something was different. And so it's almost maybe like masking, like, oh, I don't want people to know that I need help. I already,
oh yeah, so bad.
yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. That's definitely a big part of it. I also have a history of disappointing experiences that add weight, where I'm like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
I learned not to ask for these things already." You know? So it can be hard for me to like circle back, like, because you ask the wrong people for help sometimes, or you ask for the wrong help sometimes, or, you know, um and that happened a lot for me in my childhood. So I carry a lot of that forward now, and it's hard for me to circle back to like create that realm of vulnerability, honestly, because that's what it comes down to is you're making yourself vulnerable to
Absolutely.
rejection or judgment, both. Um, and I definitely struggle with that. It's like, I don't know. Um, It's almost been a limiting factor for me though, and like how I'm able to like build relationships and depend on people.
Oh, I'm sure.
No.
Absolutely. So I also used to struggle with this. And to be quite honest, for most things in my life, I no longer struggle to ask for help. And I truly think that this is why. I noticed when I was, I don't know, 25, 26, so 4 or 5 years ago. Wait, 5 or 6 years ago. That I would let myself get overwhelmed and I wouldn't, when my friends or family would talk to me, I was yeehaw, doing great, everything's perfect. And I noticed this pattern of myself. I was like, you're lying. I would get off the phone with my dad and I would be like, that's not true. I'm not really okay right now, you know? So I remember the very first time that I implemented practice. I was like, I need to learn how to be honest and ask for help. And so I arrived at this this work trip, and I was unloading my vehicle. And a couple of the guys, my coworkers at the time, came out and they were like, "Hey, Shay, do you need help carrying stuff in?" My knee jerk reaction was like, "No." I would have had to take 2 trips, or and I stopped myself in that moment, and I was like, yes, please. If one of you could grab that suitcase, that would be awesome. And I was like, it was like, holy crap. But it started a pattern. I would practice at the grocery store. I would look around the gosh darn grocery store for things forever just because I didn't want to ask for help. And then I got into the habit of just finding someone and being like, can you show me where the refried beans are? It's just a practice. It's practicing those little things. So then when people would ask me if I need help with a bigger thing, I'm like, yes, I do. Or if I am noticing like, okay, my plate is way too full. I cannot finish this myself. I I know the right person to go to for that thing. I have not don't have the experience of being burned a lot with people who are trying to help me. So that's where you and I's experiences differ for sure. But just those like little practices, I genuinely think would be helpful because I kind of had to go through that. Now I don't give a crap. I'll pick up my phone. I will go to John. I will do anything. I'll be like, somebody help me. But I had to
It's
get here.
almost,
I had to work to get here for sure.
you're talking about almost like exposure therapy.
Exactly. Exactly. And I
Yeah.
remember I remember that Airbnb. I remember what it looked like. I remember everything. And I remember that feeling in my chest when I said, "Yes, can you grab the suitcase?" And I was like, and I'm like, "Good Lord, girl, we got to work on this."
Even after they offered to.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was always like, no, 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 I got it. I got it. I got it. So,
Yeah, I've had a history of asking the wrong people to help. And not that they've done me dirty, but just like the rejection of no, you know?
oh, really?
Yeah, I've had, yeah. I've
Wow.
had a great family history.
Mm,
Fantastic.
yeah. See, that
Yeah.
experience is not something I'm familiar with, is asking and someone saying no, to be honest. God, do I sound that doesn't make me sound very good, but I haven't really
Well,
had that
no, I don't.
experience.
I think most people that are in your lives, especially when you're talking about family, they should want to help you. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So I carry trauma that's, mm, not the norm, and
sure.
and not even a neurodivergent thing. Just this was
Child.
wired early.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, what are you gonna do about it?
I mean, I don't know.
I'm just challenging you.
Well, so I have an interesting thing. I think I do have, because I do ask for help, but it's like a very limited number of things that I feel comfortable asking for help on, and to a very limited number of people. But it's a split for me between like the things that I can ask people to do that they're capable of doing. Because some of the failures before have been like, oh my God, I need help. I need you guys to take over these things. Um, and then they're like, well, how do you do it? And I'm like, oh God, never mind. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have the energy to teach you either. So it's like what I'm doing about it right now is I am actively learning the things and the places that I can ask for help on and from.
Okay.
So I'm compiling that list right now, and then that at least gives areas of relief. You know what I mean?
God bless.
Um,
Well, I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say God bless AI.
Pretty
It's
much.
really helpful for us. I mean, but because you don't
Actually,
always have to ask a person anymore.
yeah.
So
Well, and I am very blessed to have the therapist that I have also.
yeah, huge.
Um, yeah, because she definitely understands my level of stubborn, and that can be hard to combat for me when I'm asking for help.
Does she call you on it?
Oh yeah, all the time.
That's a good
She'll be like,
therapist.
she'll be like, not feel comfortable asking for the help, or do you not feel comfortable admitting that you need it on this thing because you're holding yourself to an unfair expectation? And I'm like, "Huh,
Wow, that's
fuck
a
you too.
great question.
Fuck you too." She sent
That
me
is,
that. Yeah, she got me with that one week before last, and I was just like, "Ugh."
can you say that one more time?
She said, "Are you not asking for help with this thing because you are scared that you're not going to get the help? Or are you not asking because you're holding yourself to a level of expectation that's not fair? Like,
Yeah,
are you not asking because it damages your ego and what you think you're capable of? Or, and that really for me does hit home often too.
I dig
So,
that.
yeah.
I dig that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, she's rough,
Um,
man. But we're 3.5 years in, and she's been with me through grief counseling from almost, losing my kid to it, she helps with the nightmares from the CPR. Like we have dug through my trenches together for a few years now. So there's
and
definitely a level of comfort there that I've never had with a therapist before. But
there
she
is
checks the shit out of
finding
me.
the right therapist for you. For me, it's almost been like okay. I never really went through like the dating app dating phase thing. I always have just been in like long-term relationships, you know. Um and finding the right therapist, it sounds like from what my friends tell me about the dating pool, it sounds very similar. Shopping for a therapist is such a bitch, I feel like. But that's someone's like, I love my therapist. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for you.
So what I learned when I was like, because I definitely met with quite a few before I settled, for years before I settled with her. Um, what I learned is that it can be very difficult to find a therapist that knows how to handle a balance of trauma and intelligence. Because intelligent people that are traumatized are highly self aware. We don't need you to tell us we're traumatized. We need you to help us figure out creative, non textbook ways to get through it because we can see what it is already,
Yes, my God.
you know?
I have been trying to articulate that for years. And that is exactly, you just took it out of my brain and put it into a sentence. Yes, I have had, dude, I've had therapists tell me before, wow, you're really self aware. And I'm like, yeah. And what you're telling me isn't helpful. You're telling me what you just told the patient who was in here before me.
Well, and a lot of times too, one of the things that she's pointed out to me in her experience is that when you're dealing with people that are heavily traumatized from an early age on, they tend to actually have a psychological reduction in how their brain develops. So it's not super common that you have people that have complex childhood trauma who also end up being balanced, self-aware, intelligent adults.
Yeah.
So it's you have to find somebody that's worked with that before specifically, because normally when you look at the type of, because there's sexual, physical, emotional, psychological, every aspect of abuse is in my childhood.
Mhm.
And there's a there normally when you meet somebody, like you said this on one of the other podcasts, you're like, you can't actually judge a book. You can tell when people have been through those types of things. But when you get somebody who has been through those types of things that is also highly intelligent, you cannot tell.
Yeah.
And that can make it hard also to see the damage that the trauma is causing internally and figure out ways to actively deal with that, because we are watching it happen. We know it's trauma. We know this isn't healthy, but we're also stuck in it. And that can be so hard to navigate.
Yes. Yes.
I've been blessed.
I think with like the fight or flight, and with ADHD, like I forget a lot of stuff. And this isn't probably the healthiest thing, but it's just part of my reality is that I kind of forget a lot. And I'm kind of thankful for that sometimes because I don't soak in it. And I think a lot of times probably neurotypical people who are traumatized, um, they don't have memory loss like ADHD people do, so they have to soak in it. Like, I don't have flashbacks of the shit that happened to me really, and I kind of just forget about it, and then that helps. It didn't I mean, it was a tool that I used to just move on and keep going, and to figure out, like, I was very aware, like, okay, this event is going to affect me. I'm gonna have to dig in there and heal it. But I compartmentalized it to, like, when I was in therapy for years in my 20s, and I would not think about any of my trauma ever, except for that 1 hour a week with my therapist. And I think a lot of times people engulf themselves in it, and it's really hard to get away from thinking about it, which can be very self deprecating, which can come across as, you know, like a poor me, like it's like their whole identity is their trauma, where I think,
Mhm.
and I don't want to just box this into neurodivergence or whatever, but it can't define you. You have to, you know, it will affect you, but it can't be all that you talk about, all that you think about. You're not doing yourself any good. So,
Unfortunately, the autistic brain, and I think this is the side of my brain that kind of runs the trauma center for me, captures everything, every detail. It's part of the reason that I went with EMDR because I physically still can feel, smell, sense like my traumas. So there's a house, the house in my head, there's a room where, you know, I actually have two rooms for my childhood. We've split them
okay.
between the good and the bad. Because it's really important to differentiate the good moments because they can get very muddled. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry.
that's
But
okay.
that's blessed with the therapist. And
Yeah.
yeah, I could see how the memory loss though would be difficult in the healing process.
Yeah. If you like, when I think about the if I really sit and get intentional with it, yeah. But it's I don't know. Sometimes
It's
I
almost
really
like
like,
object permanence with your
yeah.
trauma.
Yeah,
Out of sight,
exactly.
out of
Like, if
mind.
I'm not thinking about it and it's not actively happening, it's over there. But when I go look at it, I remember. It's not like it's
Sure.
blacked out, but it's
Right.
way back there. You know
You
what I
gotta go
mean?
dig a little bit. You
Yeah.
gotta go dig a little bit.
So, but
Oh
yeah.
man. We just got
Well,
super off topic. My bad.
yeah, we sure did.
We sure did.
And before you guys
Uh,
ask, Lindsay's therapist is booked out for the next 3 years. I've already asked.
yeah, she is not taking any clients at all for she's got like a 36-month wait. I don't even think she has the wait list open anymore. Um, yeah, she went private and I got lucky. I met her and she had only been like a year and a half like on the like site. We had a
You
good
didn't get
year of
lucky. She was meant for you and you were meant for her.
yeah, I accept that fully. Actually, speaking of being meant for things, that actually leads into the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about today. Um, Part of, I think, planning for your future and setting appropriate goals and all of those things, I think part of what falls into it for me is also being able to identify when this is no longer the goal or identify when this is no longer the space or the arena that I need to be in or the realm or whatever. Um, so I realized something maybe kind of silly, but there's been a lot of upheaval in my industry in the last few months for political policy purposes and a lot of companies going bankrupt and a lot of things. But historically, there's been a lot of issues too that I've like actively worked to overcome, bringing integrity and community for women and all of those things. And I don't know, I got a little slapped in the face the last few days. Um, Somebody attempted to tarnish my brand that I've never even met. And it kind of it made me, as this was happening, I was doing some work sitting in the airport, and I've got these notebooks, right? And there's this specific set of notebooks. There were three of them when I found these, and I bought them for one specific reason. My handwriting is horrendous. You can kind of see it here, but it's also very large. And I think that's partially because my eyesight's not great. But these notepads have very large lining on them, right? And this my last of my third. And I have been using these notepads um since I launched my last brand that's been like, servicing this industry and stuff. And I ordered these new ones. The lines aren't as big. I hate them. It is what it is. But what happened for me sitting in the airport is I realized this notepad's done.
Oh,
I've got like a couple more pages. I'm gonna get emotional.
yeah.
But I was sitting in it and I'm like reading all of these texts that are coming through. And I'm thinking about like what it's been, my career in this industry, and like how hard I fought for, space for women, and how diligently I've walked with integrity the whole time. But it's literally like I'm getting thrown under the bus for something that I guess all women professionally deal with at some point or another.
Sure.
And none of it's true, and it's like it's vindictive, low edge. So frustrating. But I was sitting there reading all of this come through, and I'm making my plans for my next few weeks because I'm starting on a new project right now. So I'm kind of transitioning career-wise. And I see the end of this notepad, and I realize that era is coming to an end.
Mm.
And it was like
That
the
that
universe.
era that has you have identified with for years. Yes.
And that's hard to do because it's, there's been a very small group of people that have been like actively fighting for it. And I don't know. It's to this day, it's still like over 90% male. And there's just multiple things came into one yesterday, and all comes down to timelines and timing and the universe. And the universe said to me, "You're out of notebook paper,"
Oh, yeah.
you know? So,
Yeah.
one of the things that I want to put out there is like, it can be harder for us to figure out what we want, set the goals, stick to the goals. All of those things can be harder for us to do. What's not harder for us to do is hear our intuition. It's not harder for us to see the pattern as it's laying out in front of you and see that an era may be coming to an end, or, you know, ownerships in relationships, whatever. It's I think that is one gift that we do have, to balance out the rest of it being harder, that I am learning to lean into. So
Yeah.
kind of one of the things that I wanted to end with is like a lot of it can be harder for us, but we have tools.
Absolutely. And I think recognition and acceptance are two very different things. We can recognize something, but as neurodivergent people, it is proven that we like repetition. We like things to stay the same. So recognizing that something is over then takes execution to move on, and then you have to accept that that door is closed and you got to move forward, and that is no easy task. And so I'm really proud of you, and I want to acknowledge, not, yes, we can look at the that industry as still being 90% men, and there are still going to be women who are not girls out there. But if you guys don't know, the way that I met Lyndsay is at a female leadership retreat in Utah in 2023 or 22,
Yep.
I can't remember. And wow, when I was on an all male team, essentially, maybe a couple girls, and I didn't even know that there were other females in the industry. I just kind of kept to myself, and I walked into this beautiful Airbnb that she had gotten and put together for us with speakers and food and music and love and all these women from the industry. And it literally changed my life. I still speak to many of those girls: Brittany, Morgan, Rose.
That's how we all met.
Oh my God, it's how we all met. And
Mhm.
then we had another one, and it was amazing. And I got to bring my sister and one of my really good friends and got to show them other women who are killing it. And so I urge you not to think about the parts that still are, but think about the parts that you permanently changed. You know, you did a lot of work and it did not go unnoticed. Those retreats were necessary. I needed them and so did they, you know, and we're all still friends. We all still talk. We all still support each other. And you did that for our industry. You alone did that.
Shout out Alex. No, me
Oh,
and
oh,
Alex.
sorry. Yes, 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 yes. And
Alex and
Alex
I.
Hall too. Yes.
Yep.
And but you two amazing women came together and you did that and you changed so many lives. And so while you close that notebook, remember that there are a lot of really beautiful, long lasting, permanent things that you did for the industry that will always be there. You know, you planted roots, you know. So, and it's better to
Thank
walk
you.
away in that way than to run something into the ground, you know.
True.
So, of
Thank you.
course, I mean it
Thanks,
with all my
man.
heart.
Ugh. Listen to the you y'all. Or your gut,
You
whatever
know
it
what we
is.
need to do? I mean, need to get like a little marker board. And I was gonna say episodes since episodes since or X amount of episodes since Lyndsay has cried. And then every time I'll have to erase it and put 0.
True. It's like everyone. So we're not gonna get far, man.
I love how emotional you are. I miss being able to cry. I don't cry anymore. I miss it. I
Dude,
love
I
crying.
I think I feel things on like a whole different level sometimes. Like, I don't know. I like
You are a
really
feeler. I love it. I that is one thing that I am not afraid of. The I don't know if anxiety is an emotion. Is it?
it is.
Yeah, that is the one. I don't fuck with anxiety. I hate anxiety. It's so scary. I don't like it. But and I also never get mad. That I was telling John this not like a week ago. I was like, I never get like angry. I will get frustrated or annoyed, but I don't get like mad ever. But anyway, I love like being sad for a little bit. I love crying happy tears. I love feeling emotions. They're so like it's part of being human and I'm like I'm being so human right now.
You know, I used to be able to turn it off and I don't know what happened. I can't anymore. There
Yeah.
is just I even like stopping myself from because I'll do that like if I'm in public. Like I hate the idea of people seeing me upset, which is weird because these are all the time. But like having to physically answer to somebody that sees me upset, that's gonna ask why I'm upset when I have to explain why I'm upset, and like it's just gonna create this like bleh, does no, my social anxiety does not fall in that. But like even the process of like shutting that down is physically painful to me now. Like it
Wow.
like I can't breathe and it just like I don't know. I think I hit a wall on like I think filled my quota on the amount of emotional shit that I can like bury.
Yeah. You're
And
at
it's just done.
capacity.
Yeah, it's just done.
Yeah.
No more. Yeah. And I don't know if it's like I'm going through a skill regression or it's just exhaustion post-diagnosis because I'm overly like I'm a third party analyst now to my own brain doings.
Sure.
But there is a level of I just can't right now that I've never dealt with. And maybe it's perimenopause. It could my hormones looked great, but I don't know. There's definitely something coming right now though, because my sense of social justice, like I don't get angry either or like mad, but who my sense of social justice, I will tear you apart if I feel like you are being a shady human or doing the wrong thing or like I don't there is something in me now that is just unhinged for that. Um
I've seen a lot of women around your age on social media who are like, I love this age because I officially do not give a fuck what people think about me. I'm done giving a crap. I have kids, I have a life, I've lived my life. And like they always say, like around your age, that they were like something clicked and I stopped caring what other people thought and I just stand on business. And I'm like, maybe it's just an age thing.
I'm having a really hard time with watching people take advantage. Like there's been multiple airplane things now where it's like, you know, watching people sit in seats that they didn't pay for, like just people taking advantage of systems, people taking advantage of other people,
What are you talking about? The airplane thing.
like people with like the overbearing sense of entitlement.
Okay, okay, okay.
Like I was on a plane the other day, I can see that nobody has bought the seat next to me, and these are seats like the front 3 rows, like you pay a good amount of money for these,
Sure.
like on top of your ticket. And so I can see that there's nobody supposed to be sitting in this. And this lady comes in and like ushers her like probably 18, 19, 20-ish year old daughter into the seat and is like, just sit down. So I'm like, I'm frustrated because we all paid to be here. I'm also kind of looking at the mother like, what kind of a role model are you being right now?
Yeah.
Basically telling your daughter to steal this $97 seat. It's theft
Yeah.
if you break it down. And like, it's not so much about the like rule of the matter. Everybody takes, when they can't, like, there's little things, whatever. Don't care about that. It was the mother paid for her seat up there and didn't get one for her daughter. So they boarded that plane expecting her daughter to take advantage of this open middle seat. And it's just the planning to cheat the system. I don't know. There's something about it right now that really rubs me the wrong way. And I'm like
Yeah.
learning to battle that and like not say anything, but I don't my social justice is like off the charts at the moment. And I don't know.
Well, you're established. You're a grown woman and you are established. You know what you want, you know what you accept, you have your standards, they're locked in. And maybe you are just like your full self. Like,
Maybe. There's probably some overarching, like, I feel like humans are being taken advantage of in general, and it's just like triggering me. I don't know. I don't know. I shouldn't be concerned with what's happening in the seat next to me at all, but I don't know. I'm having an odd time with it.
so I think we're
Yeah,
about
we're
10
long on
minutes
time.
over here. So
Yeah,
we got
sorry,
off
y'all.
on
That
a
was a long
tangent
one.
there.
A long one, very off topic a few times. That was a good episode though.
I'm
Was happy.
actually really excited to listen to this back. I mean, who even knows what we said?
Yeah, I blacked out 30 minutes ago, so. All right, y'all.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning in. Lyndsay and Chey out for this one. We'll see you next week. See you next
Bye.
time.